Hello, everyone, and welcome to Body Bags. I'll be your reviewer for today. I'm Lonnie from Horror Heaven77. And today we're going to go ahead and we're going to talk about the movie that just came out, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Now, I know people are probably going to be like, dude, come on, you couldn't pick something a little more hardcore, but kind of hear me out. This movie, obviously it's based off the series of books that was meant for kids and young adults, but honestly, this movie, it's not bad. It's really not bad at all. I have to admit, I had zero expectations going into this. I just figured kids horror movie and stuff, and I was like, no, I was like, okay, well, Guillermo del Toro is involved. Well, okay, let's see what he does with it. So, and like I said, I was actually pleasantly surprised by this movie. I do have a few problems with it, but overall, it is an enjoyable watch. Um, Basically the way it goes now, if you've seen the books Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, what it ends up being is it's a series of books of short stories, but rather than what Del Toro did was rather than adapt the books, just adapt the stories and make it like an anthology. What he did was he created a story. Well, he and who else was it, Patrick Melton and Marcus Dunstan, the three of them, they created a story which basically, in a sense, he does the same thing like what Cronenberg did with Naked Lunch, which was rather than just try to adapt the book outright, he ended up creating a story and basically mixing his ideas with scenes and imagery and characters and things from the books. And and it ends up making for a pretty interesting affair. The story takes place in the late 60s. I believe 1968, because at the beginning of the movie, one of our main characters, Ramon, he's sitting at a drive-in theater. He's watching Night of the Living Dead. And so anyway, it's 1968. And I, okay, I got to go ahead and get to one of my little gripes here about this movie. The biggest gripe that I think I have with this movie is just that it feels very much like it has a little too much of an It vibe for me. Um, it really does kind of feel like another version of It in a roundabout way, and I'll get to that. Okay, so you got it's basically like Halloween 1968, I believe, and you got your three main characters. You have Stella, and you got kind of like a mini losers club. You got Stella, who she's okay, first of all, she's the girl, so she's kind of like the Beverly character, but also she's the one who's the writer who wants to grow up and write horror stories. She's also kind of like the Bill Denbrough character. You got Chuck, who basically is kind of like he's a little bit like the Richie Tozier character. You got like Augie, who kind of has a little bit of like like a Stanley Uris kind of Eddie Casper kind of vibe to him. And then you got Ramon, who, it's the 60s. So he's and him being Hispanic, he's the one who gets, shade thrown at him and racism against him. So basically, he's like the Mike Hanlon character. Plus, the group is kind of like already formed when he comes into it later. So that's what I'm saying. You get the idea. But like I say, it kind of has very much like an It vibe to it. Um, so you got, we got our characters and it's Halloween night and Chuck, tells Augie and Stella that they need to get together and they need to have, this could be their last Halloween that they spend together. So they need to have one last big hurrah and go out and, and have fun that night. Plus, now also too, we got the Henry Bowers kind of bully who's after them. And, he's, very menacing, very threatening, really wanting to do damage on these kids and stuff like that. And so at one point, he goes to steal the kids' candy, but they know that he's going to steal the candy, so they play a trick on him. I'm not going to get into what they do, but they play a trick on him. And needless to say, he's not happy with it. So he's chasing after these kids, and they go to this old, house that turns out was like an old kind of mansion that housed this crazy lady. Now, the lady goes by the name of Sarah Bellows. And so they go in the house first to hide, but then again, too, like, Stella being, into horror stories and things like that, she wants to look around because, growing up in this small town, they've always heard the stories about what went on in the Bellows house and things like that. And so she's going and her and Ramon, they're looking around. And at one point, the bully kind of locks them in the house. Also, too, the bully is dating Chuck's sister, and she's going along. She's trying to get him to stop because that's her brother, and ultimately he turns on her and just pretty much locks them all in the basement of the mansion, and he goes away. And well, Stella ends up finding this book. In this book, supposedly it stories that were written by Sarah Bellows. And so, she takes the book, she figures there's no harm in it. So she takes the book home, and she starts looking through some of the stories and everything else. But one thing that she starts to realize is that the stories actually start writing themselves. Like like she'll flip a page and she'll see, a blank sheet of paper. Then all of a sudden a story starts to write itself. And, and we find out that actually that the stories are written in children's blood. So, and she at first she's thinking, okay, yeah, that's really weird and that's creepy and messed up and everything. But like we find out that the bully, he lives on a farm, and this farm has a scarecrow character here whose name is Harold. And so he always hated this scarecrow and stuff like that. And so there's like a scary thing that happens with the scarecrow. I'm not getting into details, but then they start to realize, like, whenever this story writes itself, it means that somebody is going to be picked off in a terrible way, and it's going to be the way that it's going to be the way that, like, the thing that scares them the most. You see what I'm saying? It kind of keeps going back. Like I said, this movie has very much like an It vibe to me, because the thing that does these kids in is the thing that scares them the most. So, like, but you do get some good creepy moments in here. Like for Augie, I believe the story is about, everybody remembers that old classic story, the skinny toe. The old woman going, "Who's got my skinny toe?" And so there's like urban legends mixed into this and things like that. And but so now they kind of realize that every time a story writes itself, somebody's going to be done in, and they have to try to. It becomes a race against time. They got to try to stop it before before everybody gets taken out in a really horrible way. And so they got to they got to do this, but at the same time they got to kind of unravel the whole mystery about what happened at the Bellows house, and stop Stella before she can, not Stella, but Sally, before she can claim any more victims and things like that. So, but yeah, honestly, I have to admit this movie really was not bad. I thought it was going to, I just really didn't have very much expectation. I just thought it was going to be like another Goosebumps, to be honest with you. I thought it's just going to be more kind of, I thought it was going to be a little bit more kid friendly. And I mean, it's like there are parts in this movie where kind of like, damn, I don't know if I even want to show this to kids. If you're a gore hound, stay away. Okay, it's PG-13. That tells you right there, no gore. So if you're hoping there's going to be that sort of stuff, no. But there are gross out moments in it. It just doesn't involve like blood or body parts or any of that kind of stuff. But it does have stuff like bugs and slime and all kinds of nasty stuff like that. So if you like that kind of gross stuff, then yeah, you'd like this. But I would say definitely, I mean, just kind of already know what you're going in for. I mean, know that it's not going to be hard stuff. No, it's going to be pretty much more of a kids movie, more for kids, young adults, things like that. But there are elements in here that do keep. I think it keeps your interest, even for an adult. And like I said, okay, the movie doesn't have gore or any of that stuff, but what the movie lacks in gore, it does make up for in, like creating tension and building suspense and setting eerie moods and things like that. So if you like that sort of thing, then I think you would actually like this movie. But and it's got some disturbing imagery in it. It's got some creepy characters, some creepy monsters. I mean, the scarecrow there, Harold, he's pretty creepy right there. Um, but yeah, I actually think this was a pretty decent movie, and they do set it up. I mean, I don't know. I gotta be honest. I don't know how this movie did at the box office. I don't know if it was a hit or a flop or if it did just okay. But the movie does set itself up. The idea is supposed to be it's going to be a series of movies. So I don't know if that's going to happen. We'll see. It's just wait and tell. But for what it is, yeah, it's a pretty good movie, and I actually liked it. So I would say give it a shot. like I said, that's my biggest complaint on this. This movie just feels it just has a little too much of it in there, you know. But you get past that though, it's like it's pretty good. And I think Del Toro came up with a good story, and well, he and his co-writers came up with a good story and made for a pretty good movie. So I say, well, you know what you're in for. Give it a watch. So anyway, so that's pretty much going to do it. So if anybody took the time to watch this video, I thank you for doing it. I appreciate you for doing it. I also hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the Body Bags channel. There's a different video every day of the week, Monday through Sunday. And I'm the Saturday reviewer. We got 7 guys. We're all doing great stuff. Everybody's, really bringing some good stuff to the table. And so until then, take care, everybody. I'll see you later. Have a good night.